So 17 and 18, what method did we say we used to factor that? Grouping. Okay, when we had 4 terms, we factored by grouping. So again, I already have the factored form there, so we're just going to take our factors and set them equal to 0. So we subtract 7, we divide by 6, n squared equals -7/6. We're going to take a square root of a negative number here. I need more room. So square root, so first of all I need a plus or minus. Negative under the square root, so I need an I. And I had a fraction, and they're not perfect squares. So I need to break it up. I took the square root, so I got to remember the plus or minus. There's a negative under the square root, so I need the I. 7 and 6 are not perfect squares, so I need to split them up and rationalize. So we get plus or minus I, square root of 42. Square root of 6 times square root of 6 is 6. Is 42 divisible by 4? No. It's not divisible by 9. It's not divisible by 16. Okay, 42 does not reduce because it's not evenly divisible by any of our perfect squares. So there's 2 solutions. How many am I expecting? 3, because it's n cubed. So I got to solve my other one. Add the 3, divide by 2, n equals 3/2. So those are my 3 solutions. One of them is real, 2 of them are imaginary. So this cubic function is only going to cross the x-axis 1 time. Even though it's a cubic function, we expect it to cross 3 times. 2 of them are imaginary, so it's only going to cross once. Okay, let's look at 18. 18 was also factoring by grouping, but remember this one factored further because we had the difference of perfect squares. So this time, 4n minus 1 is equal to 0, n minus 1 is equal to 0, n plus 1 is equal to 0. So 4n is equal to 1, n is equal to 1/4. Add 1, n is equal to 1, subtract 1, n is equal to -1. It's a 3rd degree, so I'm expecting 3 answers. I should check them, but I'm going to save a little time. Because y'all wouldn't let me make a mistake, right? Never. Okay. Any questions? Okay, number 19. Okay, number 19 had a GCF. I think this was the one I forgot to take it out from the very get-go. Would have made life a little bit easier if I had, but, you know, live and learn, right? We factored it out in the end, so we were good. And a GCF of 10a, and then it factored by grouping. So let's set our factors equal to 0. So a equals 0 is one of our solutions. If we look at the equation, if we plug a 0 in for all those a's, then all the terms are going to be equal to 0. So we know that one works. 7a squared minus 9 is equal to 0. 9a minus 5 is equal to 0. I'm going to solve the easiest one down here. 9a equals 5, divided by 7 by 9. A equals 5/9. Okay, so there's 2 of my, how many solutions? 4. It was a 4th degree to start with, so I need 4 solutions. I got 2 of them, so I got to come up with 2 more somewhere. I got an a squared here, so that means I should be getting two solutions, right? All right, so add 9 to both sides. 7a squared is equal to 9. Divide by 7. A squared is equal to 9 over 7. Square root. Need more room. So I took a square root, so I need the plus or minus. That should be what's going through your head every single time. I took a square root, I gotta have my plus or minus. The square root of 9 is 3. 7 is not a perfect square. I need to rationalize. Top and bottom by the square root of 7. So I get a is equal to plus or minus 2 solutions. 3 square roots of 7 over 7. I cannot simplify the 7 over 7 because the top one is under square root, the bottom one is not. Now, if this number in front of the square root were divisible by 7, I could simplify that, but I cannot simplify what's under the square root with something that's not under a square root. Okay?